Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at an older game that was designed in 2010, and it was designed by some bloke called Matt Leacock, who we've never heard of. And yeah, this game is called Forbidden Island, and this is a sort of a light puzzle cooperative game. And in this one you'll be visiting the Forbidden Island, looking for the 4 artifacts, trying to get off the island before the island sinks into the sea. In this video we'll be giving you a really quick rules overview. It won't take very long because it's quite a light game, but we'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and then we'll come back and then we'll look at some games that are sort of similar to this or have superseded this, and we'll tell you if the Forbidden Island is still relevant in 2019. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing, leave a comment in the section down below, and we'll see you after this. Board games 4K. So, Forbidden Island, this is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, and what you'll be doing in this, you've got tiles with different locations on, and you'll be putting them out into a sort of a grid style. What you're trying to do, you're trying to look for these 4 artifacts that are associated with certain tiles on the board. Everyone takes on the role of a special character with a special ability. You might have a diver or the engineer, or the helicopter pilot, or whatever, and they've all got a special ability that will help you in your quest to find the 4 artifacts. So this game is divided into 3 phases, and in the first phase you'll be taking up to 3 actions. In the second phase you'll be drawing treasure cards from the treasure deck, and on the third phase you'll be drawing flood cards equal to the water level on the water meter. So the 3 actions that you can take on your turn: you can move to an adjacent space on the board. You can't move diagonally unless you've got a special ability that allows you to do that. You can shore up, so any tiles that have been flipped over to their sort of washed out side, you'll be able to turn one of them over that's adjacent to the space that you're on. So if you're on the same space as one of your colleagues, then you can gift them a treasure card on your turn, or you can capture one of the 4 treasures, as long as you're on the tile that the treasure is on. Alright, so to do that you'll have to give up 4 treasure cards that match the type of artifact that you are trying to capture. So you get these treasure cards in phase 2 of this game, and that is draw 2 cards from the treasure deck. So in the treasure deck you've got cards that have got icons on it that relate to the 4 artifacts that are in the game, and that's how you can get these treasure cards into your hand. And you've got other things in there. You've got helicopter lifts in there, and you've got sandbags that let you shore up different tiles. You've got to make sure that at the end of your turn you haven't got any more than 5 cards in your hand, and if you do, you've got to discard down. So that stops you from sort of hoarding all these cards, because obviously when you're on the Forbidden Island your backpack's quite small. You want to be nimble and move around the map real quick. You don't want to be carrying all these treasure cards around in your backpack there. So another thing that's in the treasure deck, there are 3 Waters Rise cards, and when you pull one of these out you have to move the red marker up 1 on the Waters Rise card. If you ever get to the skull and crossbones, the game is lost. So phase 3 of this game is when you're going to be drawing flood cards, and this is where the game itself has a go back at you. So you've thrown a few punches and the game turns around and gives you a big uppercut. So you've got a deck of flood cards, and each one of these flood cards has got a location that's related to the location on the board that is still in play. So what you'll be doing, you'll be drawing a number of cards equal to the current water level out the flood deck, and then when you reveal a card you'll look at the location, you'll find a tile, and then you'll flip it over to its sunken side, and if it's on its sunken side you'll be taken out of the game. And what you've got to be careful of with this one is that when you've got the Waters Rise cards, when you draw one of them, that will tell you to take the discard pile, shuffle it up and put the discard pile back on top of the flood deck. So flood cards that have just come out will go back on top of the flood deck, increasing that risk of more tiles either flooding or sinking completely. If you're on a tile that becomes flooded, that's not too bad because you can stay on flooded tiles. But however, if you're on a tile that is due to sink, then as long as there's a tile adjacent to you, you can hop over onto an adjacent tile before the tile that you're on sinks, right? how do you win the game? I mean, what you've got to do, you've got to collect all the 4 artifacts, and then everybody's got to get to Fool's Landing, which is like the helicopter pad, and then they've got to give up a helicopter lift card and wait for the chopper to come along and take them away. And if you're late to the party, you ain't getting off that island, you know what I mean? So how do you lose a game? So there's 4 ways to lose this game, and one of them is if one of the island tiles that contains one of the artifacts sinks, you're done for. Second way you could lose is if the Fool's Landing tile sinks. If that happens, you ain't getting off the island because you can't get to the chopper, right? Another way that you can lose is if you or one of your mates is on a tile that sinks and there's no way of getting off. So if there's no adjacent tile to jump to, you're stuck. And the 4th way that you can lose, which you've got to be careful of, is if the water levels rise to the skull and crossbones. It's easy to lose, difficult to win. So that's how you play Forbidden Island in a rough kind of roundabout way. So what do we like about Forbidden Island? The first thing that we like about this game is it's so blinking easy to teach and to play, and it makes it really good for children. You know, the fact that there's hardly any rules. I mean, it can be a little bit complicated with kids when you're telling them about the special abilities, but you don't have to play with them if you don't want to. I mean, you can introduce them sort of later, but it's great for kids, this one. I mean, the theme is another thing that we like, and kids love the theme. It reminds me of a video game in the 90s called Myst, if you remember that one. Yeah, it's got this weird sort of, there's no real backstory to this. It's just, you know, some modern day characters going back in time in a strange sort of way. And it's like it sparks something in your imagination and allows you to sort of create stories yourself. Kids love it when you spark their imagination and you let them think for themselves, because in this day and age, I don't know if I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but everything seems to be sort of provided for kids. And when you can get your kids thinking and imagining stuff and creating these stories in their minds, that's got to be good fun, right? So yeah, that game sort of awakens their kids or even adults' imagination, and that's a good thing. So this game, even though it's really simple, it is still quite challenging. I mean, on occasion, we've really struggled to sort of, you know, it's like you're putting out fires everywhere, and sometimes the game just is really, really hard. And you think sometimes the game seems to be really challenging. You think you're sinking in with the island, and then suddenly, bang, you pull a rabbit out of a hat, everything goes your way, and you clinch victory from the jaws of defeat, right? And that's a great thing about this game. We like the fact that it's simple but challenging at the same time. So what don't we like about Forbidden Island? So like we said, that it's challenging. One of the good things about this was that it's a challenging game. On the flip side of that, it can also be too easy. I mean, the random nature of this one, the way the tiles are come out, and the way that some tiles are linked to the artifacts means that if the tiles are sort of spread out or in the wrong position and the cards that you want don't come out of the treasure deck the way you want them to or you need them to, then this game can be really, really hard, or it can be really easy. You know, because if all the treasure cards come out the way you want and all the tiles that get flooded are kind to you, then this game can be really easy. But then again, it's quite short, isn't it? So you can just reset. If it's really hard, you can reset if you lose. So it sort of balances itself out, but it can be really, really easy as well as being really hard, right? So another thing about this, and it's not this game per se, it's all cooperative games, and it's the problem with what do people call it? The alpha gamer, where the person with the biggest gob is the person that tells everyone else what to do. And you might see this more with children. I mean, like, I suppose some adults, right? Not all adults can sort of regulate that. They can stamp that out, and you know, I wouldn't play with somebody who's really bossy and all that sort of thing. But you know, kids, maybe it's more difficult with children to play on their own. Maybe they need to have a sort of an adult there. I don't know. But yeah, the alpha gamer is one of them sort of sickening things about cooperative games. I mean, I've never experienced that sort of thing. I wouldn't put that on anyone else. Cooperative games, alpha gamer, problem. So another thing that we don't like about this game is it comes in a tin, and we hate games that come in tins, right? So it doesn't fit on a shelf anywhere. We can't do anything with it because it needs to put an elastic band on it, because otherwise if you store it sort of vertical, then it all falls apart and it all collapses out. So games in tins, no. So should you still play Forbidden Island in 2019? So it all depends what you're looking for. I mean, if you're not a big fan of these sort of latest games that don't really sort of command that much attention, then I wouldn't play this, right? But having said that, if you're trying to introduce these sort of cooperative games to non-gamers or children, this is by far one of the best entry points into that kind of genre, you know. And if you're trying to get somebody to play Pandemic and they think it's too complicated, just show them this, play this, and then that will cement that Pandemic mechanism where you've got the threat deck sort of thing, you know, the flood deck, because it's quite sort of counterintuitive for non-gamers, I suppose kids, because they've never seen anything like that, where you're sort of taking cards out of a deck and then putting them back on top. Normally you shuffle them back in, right? Yeah, it's a good way of introducing non-gamers or people that don't necessarily have played these more complex strategy games into that kind of thing. I would prefer to play this one over Forbidden Desert. I mean, I thought that had too much fluff in it, and it was just a bit gimmicky. You know, it's like they wanted to have a sequel, and they just threw in all the stuff about these desert storms flying around and all this sort of stuff. And we haven't played Forbidden Sky, and I've got no real desire to play that, but this is enough for this one. I mean, if we want to play something a bit more complicated, we won't play Forbidden Desert, we'll play Pandemic. Yeah, like we said, this one is a sort of a gateway into that sort of Matt Leacock sort of style of game, or just cooperative games in general. So yeah, we definitely recommend Forbidden Island. It's not lost none of its charm. It might be a little bit dated in terms of the sort of basic mechanics and the simplicity, but it's retained that charming theme, and it's still a wonderful game. And if you've got kids, or you know kids, or you want to sort of introduce non-gamers into this tabletop gaming thing, then you can't go wrong with this one. So yeah, that's Forbidden Island. Like we said, if you're new out or you want to see more of these sort of card games, board games, all that sort of stuff, then please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that notification bell down there. Leave a comment in the relevant place where you leave comments, wherever that might be, and we'll see you next time.